Hey kiddo, Squid General 10 back again, and welcome back to episode number 2 of Platinum Hunter, the fresh series where we talk about games, whether they're good or bad, whether the trophy list is good or bad, and whether or not you should spend your precious time going for dat plat. And of course with a few memes sprinkled in for you youngsters out there. I heard that's what you're into. So we're moving up from 2014 and Wolfenstein The New Order into 2016 with Dark Souls 3. A few of you probably got fucking dick tingles when I said that name, because this is a game that doesn't really need an introduction. Dark Souls has always been known for being that hard game, but I feel like this difficulty is what scares a lot of people off, but I don't think that you should. This was my first entry into the Dark Souls franchise and I've pretty much mastered it at this point, if I'm jerking myself off again. The game offers simple and fluent combat that's easy to get into but difficult to master, beautiful graphics, and a pretty interesting story to boot. The trophy list, because that's what we're all interested in, offers 43 trophies, of course including that platinum, and I'd give it a difficulty rating of about 7 out of 10. The trophy list ranges from beating the game 3 times, killing bosses, gathering collectibles, and covenants, which of course we'll get into. There's also the miscellaneous trophy like infusing your weapon, upgrading your weapon to the highest possible level, and upgrading your Estus flask. First things first, I'm going to talk about the collectibles, because Dark Souls has a very unique way of doing collectibles, in that it's not what you're probably used to. Collectibles range from rings, as seen here, life rings, so basically everything you see here, you need to get for the trophy. So rings are a unique mechanic in that you can't get them all in one playthrough, because once you beat the game once, you go into New Game Plus, and for anyone unfamiliar with that, it's basically the exact same game, but everything's a little bit harder. Like an enemy does 50 damage, it goes up to 75, and your health pretty much stays where it is. But I must say, this game is not for everyone. If you don't like bashing your head off a brick wall over and over again until you finally get that orgasmic win, I wouldn't recommend this game. Simply because this game requires a lot of patience, but it does pay off. But to get all of the rings, you have to go through 3 of those New Game Plus cycles, and a highly recommended guide, but not for your first playthrough. This is the sort of game that plays the best if you're going in blind. And you can't miss any trophies per se, you can easily go on to the next New Game Plus cycle to clean them up. So, rings are pretty straightforward. You follow a guide, you pick them up, all well and good. But, so as there's a trophy for all of the rings, there's a trophy for getting all of the spells, pyromancies, and miracles. So basically these are the exact same as rings, but they're a bit harder to get because of the covenant system and getting into that. So it starts off with things like the Warrior of Sunlight, where you help random players beat a boss, which is a pretty good mechanic. It also goes on to things like the Way of Blue and Blue Sentinels and Blade of the Dark Moon, which is helping other players against PvP, and a PvP Covenant where you go out of your way to shit on someone's day, which is pretty fun, I must admit. So each of these are pretty unique, but putting them in 3 categories, I would say helping other players with bosses, helping other players with other players, and killing other players / guarding an area of the world. And these are pretty good systems. In fact, probably the best I've seen. There's summon signs, which basically allow you to summon someone for help, or summon them for a duel, as well as like random invasions. Say you could be walking down the ladder and then someone would just show up and kick you in the arse. But this can be turned off. The online feature isn't necessary, but it is for the platinum. For example, you can use embers to allow yourself to be open to invasions like that, but also gives you the benefit of added health, so there's an interesting mechanic there. But with all good things, there's always a downside, and with covenants, there's a lot of grinding, because for all of the rings and spells, you need to get all of the covenant rewards, and covenant rewards are, as you'd expect, given to you for doing something with your covenant. For example, killing someone else's boss in their world with them, covenant reward. Guarding your area, covenant reward. Killing an enemy player for another player, covenant reward. You get the gist. But problems arise when the matchmaking system's kind of cock, and that's kind of the system we've got going on here. So talking you through it pretty vaguely, we've got the Way of the Blue right there. You put that on, someone invades you, you give them the runaround for a few minutes, and a Blade of the Dark Moon or a Blue Sentinel shows up. So considering you're going to need 30 Covenant rewards to get the ring and spell, you're going to need to do a lot of PvP, and if you're bad at PvP, there's not a lot you can do, I'm afraid. But it's not all doom and gloom. You can grind for these items, and that immediately some people's bonus are just going to deflate right there, and I don't blame you, it's a real pain in the arse. Because the drop rate for Covenant rewards is very minuscule, 0.5% maybe. So if you're not a fan of running up and down stairs over and over and over again and killing the same enemy over and over and over again in the name of a platinum trophy, you're not gonna like this. And that's the biggest shame. I mean, the rest of the trophy list is manageable, it's pretty fun, it's engaging, you play the game that you like more. But the grinding, it's really not a fun time. But enough about grinding, as much as I'm sure that turns some of you on, I'm sure it turns a lot of you off. The bosses are inventive. Killing all of them gets you a trophy. They range from story bosses to optional bosses to bosses that are just in your way, so you're gonna have to kill them anyway. I wouldn't say there was any that are too hard, and without spoiling anything, there's probably one in the main game that you'll struggle with the most. He's optional, so don't worry too much. But you will need to kill him twice, or at least once for the trophy in the ring that's behind him in New Game Plus 3. And again, you can summon people for help, that doesn't negate any trophies, and of course there's no cheat codes, so you can't be a pussy. So all in all, do I think this game is worth a platinum? I'm afraid not, but should you play this game? Yes. It's absolutely worth experiencing, at least for a little while, maybe play it in co-op with your friend, that's always an option. But the trophy list, while it is good, the grinding is just a little too much. They might have turned it back a bit, but I highly doubt it. They're more focused on weapon balance and the matchmaking. So as good as the game is, I'm going to have to give the platinum a no, but it is a good game. I'd highly recommend it. So thank you for watching this episode of Platinum Hunter, and give it a cheeky like if you want to see some more, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.